You ever rewatched classic cartoons or animated cartoon movies that you loved as a kid, only to find a little flaw or two? I'm not even talking about bad overall stories or problematic characters that were supposed to be the good ones. Rather, I'm referring to ones that had situations that were likely disturbing to many youngsters. Well, let's talk about the 10 darkest kids movies. Before we get further, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Alright, let's get to it. At number 10, Pinocchio. If you saw the 1940 version as a kid, I'm sure there were several scenes that were vexing but not frightening. That's because the story of this animated film was really about trafficking. Consider, two strangers deceive Pinocchio into following them on his way to school so that they might sell him to Stromboli, the puppet master. Pinocchio is forced to work as a child labor kid by Stromboli, and when he tries to flee, he finds himself on Pleasure Island. At number 9, Animal Farm. This 1954 cartoon captures Orwell's Stalinism satire with finesse, without going too far from its literary sources, save for a conclusion that opts for savage revenge rather than a steady decline into hopelessness. The video combines disturbing music and cinematography with the famous text, combining vibrant stills of the countryside and darker corners of corruption where nefarious dealings take place. Animal Farm is a dark and scary movie rendition of a famous dystopian novel that has been taught in schools around the world. At number 8, Invader Zim. Invader Zim is possibly the funniest animation that Nickelodeon ever aired, despite the fact that it was canceled before its second season was even completed. It's as close to a coming-of-age narrative about a crazy extraterrestrial school-bound adolescent who wants to destroy the Earth as we're ever going to get. Jonan Vasquez, the creator of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Squee, was responsible for most of the show's adult-oriented sensibility. The clumsy Zim, along with his dim-witted bot servant GIR, is continually attempting to establish his dominance over everyone around him, typically involving food, but it always ends in comically disastrous circumstances. At number 7, the Powerpuff Girls. Even as a child, we couldn't help but be troubled by Miss Sarah Bellum, the mayor of Townsville's smooth-talking aide who periodically gives the small superheroines smart advice. If it weren't for the fact that she only appears from the neck down, she had the potential to be empowering. After all, her name is essentially a pun for Sarah Bellum. Instead, she transforms into a decorative persona whose true identity is never revealed. And of course, the show's major villain, him, must be mentioned. At number 6, The Plague Dogs. The Plague Dogs is an obviously challenging film, covering a wide range of subjects such as media immorality and widespread social terror. From Ralph's pantic rant as he's immersed underwater for several tests, to the terrible scrape of a shovel scooping up the dead animals who've succumbed to the abuse. The entire scene is covered in an impenetrable blanket of despondent noises. In more ways than one, it slashes close to the bone, casting a palpable nastiness across the entire picture. It manages to address numerous crucial topics before getting at its confusing finish and threatens to repulse and shock audiences of all shapes, ages, and genders. Number 5, Coraline. This one scares me a little even now. This stop-motion version of Neil Gaiman's novel appears to be a comical narrative about a spunky, bored young girl who discovers a hidden door to a secret realm where everything's wonderful, yet slightly wrong. Coraline, like its secret parallel realm, is strange and frequently terrifying. The plot begins to unravel like a horror film as soon as Coraline discovers the secret door, ramping up this spooky atmosphere and terrifying monsters. At number 4, Felidae. The animation is remarkable as the creatures slink across the screen in a lifelike way, capturing cat-like behaviors with great realism. Brutal violence, terrible dream sequences, and even a nasty experience between Francis and a female cat are all depicted with this degree of detail. This film is fascinating as a murder investigation, but stunning in its cartoon savagery. It's littered with images of lots of bad stuff. A sight in which decapitated cats dangle from threads is enough to permanently imprint itself on the mind. At number 3, The Last Unicorn. Horror and fantasy are two genres that seldom collide, but when they do, the results are unforgettable. The Last Unicorn is more fantasy than horror, yet it has enough creepy components to be a disturbing movie for kids. Rankin Bass is best known for seasonal classics like the stop-motion cartoon Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but this fantasy epic, about a unicorn who realizes she is the last of her kind and starts on a mission to find out what happened to her relatives, is full of terrifying stuff. At number 2, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Any horror lover will tell you that Christmas and horror are a terrific mix, but this is one of the few occasions the two come together in animated form, and it's largely a joy. The story of Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, who becomes wary of the same annual celebrations and plans to abduct Santa Claus and take over Christmas, comes from the minds of Tim Burton and Henry Selick. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a visual treat, as sweet and humorous as it is terrifyingly nasty. And at number 1, The Secret of NIMH. It's based on the children's book Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of NIMH. Follows a field mouse as she tries to prevent her sick kid from pneumonia, as well as the farmer who owns the area they live in, from plowing through it. The survivors of experimental experiments, notably a rat-eating cat named Dragon, are featured prominently in Don Bluth's adaptation. The visit to the Great Owl, whose introduction includes a lair littered with the bones of his eaten victims, a horrible encounter with an ill-fated spider, and a pair of frightening glowing eyes that gazed into your very soul, was a scenario that really scared kids. Well guys, that was it for the video. What'd you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. If you're new to our channel, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell to get notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching.